Hello, everyone, and welcome to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. Hope everybody's having a great Saturday out there. I know I am. And let's get right into the details here. I will be showing you here kind of the fire weather concern here as we head through the day today with the alerts. Looking at the drought monitor here, looking kind of at the drought conditions across the country. Also, here's some severe weather potential this weekend into early next week, and kind of looking a longer range here, what we can expect here through the month of May. So welcome back, everybody. Hope everybody's having a great Saturday, like I said here, and let's kind of get into the details. So we do have some red flag warnings across here, Colorado down into portions of New Mexico, the western Texas panhandle here into West Texas, across portions here of Arizona, and even getting back here to the west into portions of southern Nevada and southeastern portions there of California. We do have a lot of wildfire concerns across this area, a lot of dry soils here, pretty much centered on most of New Mexico, the entire state there, into Texas, Colorado, a lot of windy conditions around this area. So do kind of be mindful of that if you were having, grilling outdoors, if you were having any campfires outdoors, anything like that here to spark any fires, be mindful of that across these areas. I'm looking at the latest drought monitor here. The U.S. National Drought Mitigation Center did come out with here on Thursday. Seeing persistent drought conditions across New Mexico into portions of West Texas, getting up into the Oklahoma Panhandle and western Oklahoma, portions of southwestern Kansas, getting into portions of Colorado, and even farther back to the west here into portions there of Nevada, California, and just really most of the west here itself. The most persistent and the most extreme type of drought is across portions of West Texas, getting into New Mexico here, the Oklahoma Panhandle, and getting up here into southwestern Kansas, southeastern portions of Colorado, where we have extreme and exceptional drought being here noted across those areas. Even some extreme exceptional drought here with severe drought mixed in here across south central Texas as well. And then here, like I said, severe to extreme type of drought, maybe some pockets of exceptional drought here off into the west here, west of the Intermountain West, into the just south of the Pacific Northwest here across the California region, getting up here into the state here of Oregon and getting down through Nevada, Utah, and portions there of Arizona as well. And then off to the east here, you got pockets of some, abnormally dry to maybe moderate drought conditions across the eastern Carolinas, getting down toward Georgia, South Florida, and then kind of around the Great Lakes region and up toward the northeast. But here, largely here, void of any drought conditions across those areas east of the Mississippi River here at this time. And then we look ahead. We have a day one categorical outlook here from the Storm Prediction Center, a severe weather chance here as we head into later today and even into our nighttime tonight here on our Saturday. We have a marginal risk that extends from here the Canadian provinces here all the way southward into North Dakota, South Dakota, and into portions there of Nebraska, maybe far northeastern portions there of Colorado. We do have a slight risk zone that extends from east central South Dakota back through west central portions there of Nebraska. So maybe some gusty winds and some large hail definitely going to be a possibility. Cannot rule out a tornado here, as we do have a 2% tornado risk extending from the central Dakotas into east central Dakotas there, and then that general wind risk here and that hail risk here going along with those marginal and slight risk zones. I do also want to note there's a marginal risk across south central Florida with that here cold front continuing to sag southward with that first storm system here moving off here to the Atlantic coast. We also do have a very small marginal risk zone down into north central Texas, where we could have maybe some microburst type hail and wind gusts here across those areas, and with a couple of storms that may be able to pop up later this afternoon as well. So let's kind of get into the details of all this. We do have, dew points rising into the Dakotas and into Nebraska here, mid to upper 50s, maybe some localized pockets of 60-degree dew points here, especially with southward extent as you get down here into east central Nebraska. And that will kind of contribute to some instability across these areas from the central Dakotas down through west central Nebraska, probably on the order of 1,000 to close to locally 2,000 joules per kilogram, so enough to get some thunderstorm activity, more than enough for some severe weather here as we have surface daytime heating. We do have some pretty decent shear values with some westerlies in the jet stream coming in here across portions of the Dakotas and getting down into the Nebraska area, maybe far northeastern Colorado here, like I was showing you. And so some pretty nice wind shear coming in, and that should contribute to some storms. So I'm looking at the composite reflectivity as we head into late this afternoon, some bubbling up of storms into the western and central Dakotas and even into southern Canada as well. These will kind of tail their way down here farther to the south into the kind of the panhandle here of Nebraska, and then these will continue to kind of congeal into more of a broken line here, or maybe it's kind of a semi-organized MCS or linear squall line as they push to the east here across the east central Dakotas, getting down into western and central portions there of Nebraska as we head toward the dinner time frame. And then after dinner here, this will kind of back build here into portions of central Nebraska, maybe some gusty winds, some hail. Cannot rule out a tornado potential here across the central Dakotas, as we do have a little bit of more shear overlapping the instability in those areas here, so that could create more rotation with storms with maybe a couple supercells embedded there. And then as we head to the late evening hours into our early Sunday morning, this will all kind of push into portions of western Minnesota, the far eastern Dakotas, and kind of tailing its way down into eastern and central portions there of Nebraska as we head into our Sunday. Now, looking farther to the south, the Storm Prediction Center also has a day one here outlook for north central Texas, just on the southwestern side of the Fort Worth Metroplex here of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We do have a thunderstorm potential and then a marginal risk zone south and west of Fort Worth, getting down here, towards central Texas. Could have some microburst potential with this. We'll kind of walk you through this here. We got dew points rising well into the 60s. We got a lot of juice in the atmosphere, low to mid 70 dew points into east central Texas, even some higher dew points into Oklahoma, upper 60s near 70 across south central Oklahoma as well by late this afternoon. We do have a dry line that is kind of bisecting portions here of the central Texas area. We got, single digits to teens to even low 20-degree dew points across west Texas into the Panhandle and back into New Mexico. That's with all the fire weather concerns in those areas. East of the dry line or ahead of the dry line, we do have all that here moisture, 60, 70-degree dew points. And that will contribute ahead of that dry line to some very impressive, some pretty extreme instability values on the order of 3,000 to 4,000 plus joules per kilogram. We locally could have up to near 5,000 joule per kilogram instability across the Dallas-Fort Worth area and getting down toward the north central Texas region here by late this afternoon. The caveat here is there's not going to be a lot of wind shear, so any storms that pop up will be very slow moving, if not stationary, and that is here going to drop some heavy rainfall with all the the dew points rising, the surface heating, and then you do have that microburst potential here as you have some light wind shear. So kind of a higher cape or higher instability and low shear type of environment here in the North Texas area here today. So we'll see how that works out this afternoon across those areas. And then again, we do have that marginal risk zone down into south central Florida as well. So looking at the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook here from the Climate Prediction Center here, they have put out very high probabilities of well above normal temperatures from the northeast through the Great Lakes and into portions here of the Mississippi Valley, down and through much of the Great Plains region here, down through Texas as well. Slightly cooler than normal across the the coastal southeast here from the Carolinas down through coastal Georgia and Florida, where we got that trough continuing to push off here to the Atlantic coast. We do got another massive trough setting up here across the western half of the country here into the Pacific Northwest, down through the Four Corners region, and that will send a lot of cooler than normal temperatures down through the Pacific Northwest into California, the Four Corners here of Utah, Arizona, Nevada, the Intermountain West here as we head through all the way through Monday, May 16th here, while areas under the ridge part of this type of weather pattern we'll kind of see more of 20 to 30 degrees above norm here for the temperatures across here all the way through May the 16th potentially. And also looking at this here with the precipitation scope on things, we do have slightly to above normal precipitation across the the northern plains getting back to the Pacific Northwest. Also some slightly above precipitation potential here across the coastal southeast, where we have that trough continuing. Slightly drier than normal in the northeast, and then especially down here in the Four Corners and the desert southwest, getting into Texas here all the way through Monday, May 16th. Kind of drier than normal across those areas as that ridge really starts to amplify as we head toward late this here next week, and that will kind of really have a lot of sinking air across these areas, so kind of shutting down the precipitation, if you will, across the southern plains, getting back into the Four Corners and desert southwest areas. Kind of a ring of fire pattern here around that ridge into the northern plains, the upper Midwest, and kind of getting over toward the Ohio Valley. and Great Lakes here as we head into next week. And then looking even further, the 8 to 14 temperature outlook here from the Climate Prediction Center, this does maintain a pretty broad ridge across most of the country. It might actually here start to retrograde a little farther west toward the Intermountain West, kind of shunting that that trough farther up here into the Pacific Northwest and into southwestern Canada, where we do have above normal here temperature anomalies expected across most of the 80% of the country here, from the Northeast all the way through the center of the country, especially down here focused on the Texas region, getting up into the Southern Plains, the Mississippi Delta region here as well, and then back towards your California. And with that larger ridge retrograding westward, will pull that above normal precipitation here toward the the third or so week of May back farther north here into Canada. As the jet stream goes even farther to the north, we have a lot of drier than normal conditions here across the western and southwestern portions of the country, from Texas through the Four Corners and getting into the Intermountain West. Slightly above normal precipitation or just around normal here across the Great Lakes, and then getting it down here toward the Mid-Atlantic, Ohio Valley, and into the southeast here. This goes all the way through Friday, May 20th here. And then the Climate Prediction Center does come out with a week 3 to 4 temperature outlook. This goes all the way through the opening days of June. This goes valid through from the May 21st through June 3rd. We do expect that ridge to really persist across the eastern 2/3 of the country, or eastern half of the country here, with above normal temperatures expected from the Northeast down through the Mississippi and Tennessee valleys here, even into the Ohio Valley, and then especially focused on the Southern Plains into the Texas region, where we get temperatures exceeding hundreds here multiple days. And then here with that trough continuing in the Pacific Northwest here, slightly below normal temperatures are expected there. And then, like I said, underneath that ridge, a lot of sinking air. We do have below normal here precipitation anomalies expected here from portions of Texas, getting into the Four Corners, and then back towards here Nevada and California as well. Equal chances of above or below normal here precipitation from May 21st through June 3rd across portions here of the northern plains, the Mississippi Valley off to the northeast, and then slightly above normal here across the southeast from Florida to the Carolinas up toward Virginia, going all the way through the opening days here of June. So kind of looking at the scope of things with how we're going to warm up here as we head into next week, we'll start here on Sunday. We could have temperatures in the low 100s on Sunday across most of west central Texas, maybe 95 near the Dallas-Fort Worth area, some 80s getting pulled north here all the way into far southern Nebraska here, portions of southwestern Missouri, and then we got here a lot of 80s and lower 90s across here the Gulf Coast states down toward Florida. Cooler air continuing across the Northeast and the Northern Plains, but that will here transition as we head toward next week here to a much warmer than normal. We can see 90s being pulled all the way up toward the Omaha area, much of here portions of Missouri into Kansas, low to mid 90s, hundreds once again down into portions here of northwest Texas, maybe 95 yet again here for the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and then maybe 93 degrees up toward the Oklahoma City metro on Monday. And this will continue to pull to the north. We got lower 90s potentially up here into west central Illinois, getting over here towards Missouri and Kansas, with yet again maybe some embedded 100-degree temperatures around the panhandle of Texas, mid 90s for the Dallas-Fort Worth area toward Texarkana, and really much of the Tennessee Valley here into the upper 80s to lower 90s as well as we head into Tuesday. And then that just continues to expand, maybe retrograde, like I was saying here, westward with that ridge as we head toward the middle of next week. 90s could be pulled up all the way up toward portions here of west central Illinois, Iowa, into Nebraska, maybe some low to mid 80s getting up close to the Minneapolis-St. Paul area as well. And really, as you get into the Northeast, 70s can persist here, and some lower 80s can persist here as we head toward the middle and end of next week. We got a lot of warmth being pulled up into Canada. I know it's not showing it here, but Ontario, into portions of Manitoba here, Quebec, a lot of warmer temperatures are expected for your area here as we head toward the, especially the middle to late portion of next week, with this very amplifying ridge here in the east and the trough in the west. We do have a lot of cooler temperatures across here, Portland, Oregon, up towards Seattle, and getting over toward, Boise here in Idaho, getting down toward the Las Vegas area. Still some warmer temperatures at times, but especially here in the lower elevations, but here higher up into the mountain areas here, some cooler weather can be expected there across those areas. And same goes true for California here toward the middle of next week. And also looking at the precipitation here expected for the next 7 days here, this goes all the way through the middle of the month here, around the 14th, 15th time frame. Most of the precipitation will be across the northern plains into the upper Midwest, upper Great Lakes region, into southern Canada, Ontario here, from western Ontario and portions of central and southern Manitoba, all the way down here into Minnesota and the eastern Dakotas. Probably can expect 2+ inches of rain, probably 2 to 4 inches of rain here with that ring of fire pattern kind of around that ridge. Cannot rule out some storms here around the Texas Panhandle, getting up into the Central Plains at times with this ridge here as it kind of breaks down and then kind of re-strengthens and breaks down here a little bit. So we can have some embedded, storms and supercells in there here at times. More of an isolated type of nature here across those areas. And then some more rainfall across the Pacific Northwest with that trough here moving in around the Seattle area, getting down toward Portland, Oregon, maybe northern and far northwest California can expect a few inches of rain here, but largely the Four Corners region in Southern California and then really up into towards the Northeast and Ohio Valley, not seeing much in the way of rain here the next 7 days. So thank you everybody for watching my video today. Be sure to like my video, give me a thumbs up here, leave any of your comments and questions below, and do remember to subscribe to my channel, please. I'm trying to get over 100 subscribers, so please help me out, and thank you very much for doing so. Do remember to subscribe to my channel for the latest forecast updates through the spring and summer season. So I hope everybody has a great Saturday out there and hope you enjoyed my video, and have a great one out there this weekend.